Hello and welcome to Macy Cooks, and more importantly, welcome to Oh No, I'm Out. Have you ever been getting ready to make cookies or bake a cake and realize that you're out of baking powder? If you're like me, that's happened a bunch. And I thought it might be interesting to tell you why it is you can't do a one-for-one swap with baking soda and baking powder. More importantly though, I'm gonna teach you how to make your own. So if you're interested, Bill and I want to tell you about baking powder. Started, there's a couple things we're going to need. We're going to need baking soda and also cream of tartar. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about cream of tartar later on, but it's important to have some in your kitchen. There's a lot of uses for this little guy, and he's pretty special. More importantly, we need to prepare to be sciencey. You never know when you're sciencing what's going to happen, so it's important to be prepared. What? I'm just sciencing. Fat girl in a little cup. Oh, Richard! Where to start? Baking soda. Baking soda is a base, okay? And what that means basically is Would you please get serious? In order for a chemical reaction to occur with baking soda, you have to introduce an acid. So for example, in a cookie recipe, your recipe might call for baking soda and brown sugar. Or if you were baking a cake, like for example a lemon pound cake, it might call for baking soda and lemon. When that acid, be it baking soda or lemon, interacts with baking soda, it releases carbon dioxide. And those carbon dioxide bubbles cause a leavening, which is a rise. If you don't introduce an acid to your base, baking soda, then your baked good, be it cookies or cake or souffle, are going to come out less than fabulous and also a bit metallic. Here's where baking powder is pretty fascinating. Baking powder is a combination of carbonate and bicarbonate, meaning it contains both a base and an acid. In simpler terms, it's just a weaker acid. So, if you were to see a recipe that contains baking powder, it could mean a couple things. I was committed to wearing this for the whole video, but there's just not a lot of range of movement. And this is a really important movement for what I'm shooting. Alright, back to business. If you see a recipe that contains only baking powder, what that most likely means is that the recipe doesn't contain an acid of its own. So it doesn't contain lemon or brown sugar. Now here's where it gets a little bit tricky, but cool. If you see a recipe that contains both baking soda and baking powder, it can mean a couple things, but most likely it means that that baked good needs a little bit of extra leavening. The cool thing about combining baking powder and baking soda is what it can mean for your baked good. For example, I've seen recipes that contain both when it has a high ratio of dry to wet ingredients, so like a souffle or a pound cake, for example. Adding that baking powder accompanied with the baking soda means that you're going to get some extra leavening, and it's also going to be well balanced. One interesting thing is, for example, buttermilk pancakes. If you were to make buttermilk pancakes, for example, and only add baking soda, that baking soda, which is a base, is going to interact with the buttermilk, which is an acid, and it's going to completely neutralize that tangy flavor, which realistically is what makes a buttermilk pancake so delicious. But you can't take out the baking soda. If you did, you'd just have a flat cake. Flapjacks, short stack. I don't know. I felt like that was a thing, but I don't think it's a thing. Anyway, you'd have a flat cake, which you don't want. So, by adding baking powder along with baking soda, you're getting all the leaven, but you're actually adding some extra acid so that you can keep that tangy flavor from the buttermilk. And now a message from our sponsor, Bill and Cream of Tartar. Aside from the incredible wonder of the world that you can make your own baking powder if you have cream of tartar, there's a lot of other uses for it as well. Cream of tartar is an acid, and the cool thing about it is that, well, it makes a lot of fun things. Did you know that cream of tartar is what you use if you're making a meringue? Beat 3 egg whites, half teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1/4 teaspoon cream of tartar until soft peaks form, blah, blah, blah. I'm bored, let's do science. Before I teach you how to make your own baking powder, I want to show you the difference between baking soda and baking powder in a more visual way. Don't try this at home. For this experiment, I have our control. I feel so sciencey. I'm not even sure if control is the accurate word. We're gonna go with it. For our control, we have 2 matching cups of, it's not urine. I know it looks like it's not urine. It's mango vinegar. That's why I don't feel bad wasting it. It's mango vinegar. To control number 1, aka glass number 1 of mango vinegar, we're going to add a teaspoon of baking powder. And to control number 2, aka glass of not urine number 2, we're going to add a teaspoon of baking soda. Let's get sciencing. Prepare for science in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. That's a really long countdown. I should have started with 3. And science. As you can see, the glass of mango vinegar that contains only baking soda is way more violent. It's bubbling thicker, higher, and that's because it only contains a base. However, glass number 2 of mango vinegar it's not as much. Now there is still a reaction, of course. Carbon dioxide is being released, but it's not quite as much. And the reason why is because it's balanced between an acid and a base. Do you feel smart? Do you feel super intelligent? I'm going to teach you how to make some baking powder. So, for your own homemade baking powder, you will need a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda mixed with a 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar. Get in there real nice and deep like and mix that around. I mean, that's it. I wish it were more complicated than that, but I mean, it's not. Here's the thing, with these videos of, oh no, I'm out, I'm not assuming that you already have cream of tartar in your pantry, or if you're making brown sugar, I'm not assuming you have molasses in your pantry. Basically what I'm trying to say is, you really should consider stocking your pantry with things like cream of tartar. You never know when you're gonna be in the middle of baking something and realize that you're out. And on top of the fact that cream of tartar can be added to baking soda to make baking powder, or it can be used to make awesome meringue cookies, it's really good for cleaning. If you add cream of tartar to vinegar and a tiny bit of hydrogen peroxide, you can clean pots and pans with it. Or cream of tartar mixed with vinegar can be a substitute for bleach. I hope you find this video useful. I hope that the next time you're out of baking powder, you reach for some cream of tartar. More importantly, I hope that you ask yourself the question, is there more things I could be making at home? Get baking, y'all.